All right, we touched on some NBA stuff during the drill. It's time to talk some NBA, some Jazz, some workouts, some playoffs, the Final Four in the NBA, and all that good stuff, some coaching hires with our guy and NBA and Jazz insider from The Athletic, Tony Jones, who joins us right now on a Monday. I didn't think we'd have a lot of news on a Monday morning, but apparently we do have some news on a Monday morning. What's good, Tone?
Seismic shift in the college basketball world and the NBA world.
I think it's a bigger seismic shift in the college world than it is in the NBA world. I'm not sure what John Beilein's going to be able to get accomplished, but I'll say this. I've heard a lot of people this morning. Dan Patrick was talking about it and some other stuff. I had a coach tell me a long, long time ago, the great Hugh Durham, who coached at Georgia and coached at Florida State and was at Jacksonville when I did the play-by-play, and I always wondered why in the world Lon Kruger left a great job at Illinois to go, I think it was at Illinois, it may have been in Florida at the time, but I think it was Illinois, to take the Atlanta Hawks job. And he just kind of looked at me and said, Riles, there's no downside for Lonnie Kruger. He said, Riles, he'll go get paid a lot of money. If they fire him early, they still have to pay him, and he'll come back and coach in college again. I'm not sure if John Beilein ever coaches in college again because he's 66, but here's the thing. Why not? He's done a lot of things. He's coached at every level, from the JC level through the small college to Division I. This is another challenge. I think sometimes people in life, and you and I are probably the same way, we like challenges. He's going to get paid a lot of money, and he's going to see how it is to coach in the NBA.
Well, see, that's exactly the thing. I mean, these are competitive men. And, you know, I mean, it's the same reason why we would say, why would Rick Pitino go and coach the Knicks? Or why would John Calipari go and coach the Nets? It's the competitor, and a lot of us. And you know, you have you have great success over a period of time. Then you sometimes you naturally wonder if you can replicate that success on the next level. And there is no downside with John Beilein. You know, he's pretty much established himself as one of the two or three best coaches in Michigan in the history of Michigan. He can go to Cavaliers. He's got a 5-year deal. Remember when we talked about Ty Lue being insulted by that 3-year deal that the Lakers offered him? Well, John Beilein got a 5-year deal. You know, so I think that there's no downside, just like you said, and I think that if it flops in the next 2 years, I'm not so sure. Like you are, that he wouldn't go back and coach in college. I think that he's a coaching lifer. I think that he's in good shape and that he's taking care of himself. So I think that if this didn't work out, I do think that he'd return to college coaching ranks. But I don't think that there's a downside to taking this risk and going out there and trying to prove yourself at the NBA level.
I don't either. I don't know how it'll work out, but everybody should be able to take on a challenge they want to take on, and we'll see how that goes for John Beilein. Michigan will be just fine as well. It's a good job. Somebody that's of a high caliber will take that job. Let me ask you, though, because I was thinking about this morning. I was racking my brain to try and find and think of guys that jumped from college basketball, that were mainly college basketball guys, and then went to the NBA and were what you would call successful. I can only think of 3 over the last 30 years, Tony. Larry Brown did it.
Larry Brown did it, yes.
Brad Stevens has done it.
Brad Stevens.
He hadn't been great, but he's been successful with the Celtics. And Billy Donovan's had some success too.
More Stevens. Definitely more Stevens and Larry Brown than Billy Donovan. I think Billy Donovan, relative to the talent that he's had, I think he's been just okay.
Oh, okay.
That's it. That's all you have to. That's it. Oh, just okay.
Well, I mean, he's been a playoff team. I mean, he's gone to the playoffs.
Yeah,
he's gone.
Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook.
Well, he never had Kevin Durant. He took over right after KD left.
Yes, he took over after KD left. No, wait a minute. No, that was Scotty Brooks. You're right.
Yeah, he took over. That was the big deal. He took the job and KD was there, and then when he assumed the job, KD was gone. So, so they've been good. They haven't been great, but I mean, it's not like they fell off the map when Billy Donovan took over. He's been there, I think 3 years, and they've been a playoff team every year. But there aren't many guys, are there, that go from college to the – my point is John Beilein is set up to fail, and that's his decision to do it. He's taking it on as a challenge at 66 years old. It's not a career anymore for him. It's a challenge for him. But there haven't been many guys that have made that jump from. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that there are very few guys that have made that move?
It's a different game. It's a completely different sport. It's a completely different game. You go from trying to convince 17-year-olds to come to your school, and you go from having 100% of the power to basically having very little. I wouldn't say very little power, because the power is yours to be a coach. But it takes, So let's look at John Calipari, right? Like at Kentucky, it's my way or the highway. If you don't do it my way, you can go transfer, or I can recruit over you, or I can at the end of the year I can just say, hey, you're going to go and you're going to declare for the draft. He has complete autonomy over pretty much everything that he does in that program. Now, if he goes to the NBA, he doesn't have that, and it goes from being college basketball. I've always said is a coach's profession. And the NBA is a players' league, and it's just so many differences. I actually think that John Beilein has a chance to be pretty good at the pro level, because he's a guy who he's a players' coach, and he always has been. He's always had a laid back demeanor. I think he has enough perspective, and I think that he has enough self-deprecation that he can be he can massage egos in the locker room, and I think that he's a heck of an X's and O's coach. Like I think he's a terrific X's and O's coach. I do actually disagree with you a little bit when you say that Michigan's a great job. I think Michigan is a good job. John Beilein turned it into a great job, and they struggled a lot before John Beilein got there, and it was to me it was John Beilein that turned it into the job that it was. So I think that Michigan is going to have to hire very carefully if they want to maintain the level of success that they've enjoyed over Beilein's tenure. I think a lot of Beilein as a head coach, and I think that he's a guy that I think that can step into the NBA and be successful, a la Brad Stevens, a la Larry Brown. But it's such a different profession from the college level to the pro level. That's why you don't see a lot of people negotiate it that successfully.
All right, we're talking to Tony Jones from The Athletic, presented by Budweiser, as he is every time he joins us. Relative to what they have right now and what the job is, who's more likely to have success at their job, Frank Vogel or John Beilein?
Relative to what they have and what I'm going to say, John Beilein, because I think that Frank Vogel's going to be out in 2 years.
Okay.
I think that Frank Vogel has walked into an absolute no-win situation. I think that he's walked into a situation where it's very obvious that the front office really wants Jason Kidd to be the head coach. And here's the thing: in 2 years, he might have real success. Like the Lakers might make a run in the playoffs, or they might contend for a championship. But at the end of those 2 years or 3 years, that organization is going to want to turn the reins over to Jason Kidd. And I think that that's just a really, really difficult situation for Frank to be in. And I think Frank's a really good head coach. I respect him tremendously for what he did with those Indiana teams. And I think that LeBron will respect him as well, because I think that those Indiana teams really pushed those Miami Heat teams for 3 years. So, but I think that John Beilein's he's going to be given a real fair chance to be successful in Cleveland. I think that they've invested in him. I think that they know his worth as a coach. They're going to be paying him a lot of money, so they're going to be invested in his success. And they've given him a lot of years, so they're going to be invested in his success. So when you have a front office, the difference is the front office is going to be a lot more invested in John Beeline than the Laker front office is in Frank Vogel. And that's the big difference between the two.
All right, we're talking to Tony Jones for a couple of more moments here. I feel really good about my player rankings, my postseason MVP player rankings after yesterday. I had Kawhi at the top of my rankings, and I feel really good. Now, he took a lot of shots, but he was the only guy who was coming close to doing anything like what he needed to do. They're advanced on. Milwaukee's there. You've got Portland and Golden State. Which series is going to be the better series here, Tony?
Milwaukee, Toronto, absolutely. I think that series has a chance to go the distance because Kawhi is that good. I think that Milwaukee is a better team. I think that Giannis has a lot more support around him than Kawhi does around him. I think that supporting cast in Toronto around Kawhi is just hanging on by a thread. But Kawhi's reached just the stratosphere as a player. So right now, I think that Kawhi's good enough to will Toronto into this series and will it into a long series. But I think Milwaukee is going to come out of the series. I think that they're the better team overall, and I think that they have a lot more answers around Giannis than Toronto does to Kawhi. The most I can see Portland doing against Golden State is 2 games, and that's if Dame and CJ go crazy. And this is even, without the presence of Kevin Durant. I just think that Golden State's just a lot better than Portland is, and I think that they're going to take care of business now that they've cleared their real hurdle, which is the Houston Rockets.
My guess was Golden State in 5 and Milwaukee in 6.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. I think maybe Milwaukee, Toronto's in 7, but I definitely think that can be over in 6. I just think that Milwaukee's better. I think Milwaukee's a heck of a team, and they've done a lot to prove it in the postseason.
Tony Jones, our guest from The Athletic today here on the Bill Riley Show on ESPN 700. How does Philadelphia getting bounced in the way they got bounced have a potential impact on the Jazz this summer?
It's a good question. I actually don't think it's. I mean, if the goal is to get Tobias Harris, I'm not sure that it's great. And I think they're going to lose Jimmy Butler, and I think that we've talked about that. And I think Jimmy's going to leave, and I think that the Los Angeles market is going to be at the top of his list, and I think that Elton Brand's going to sit back and he's going to say, I gave up Landry Shamet, I gave up the 2021 Miami unprotected first-round pick, which could turn into a monster. I gave up another first-round pick to get Tobias Harris. I'd better keep him. And I think he's going to offer Tobias Harris the 5-year max, the full 5-year max. And I think that if he offers Tobias Harris the full 5-year max, I think Tobias Harris stays in Philly. So I think the real loser in what happened yesterday was the Los Angeles Lakers, because I think the way that Kawhi ended that series and the emotion that he showed when hitting that shot, I think that there's a chance that he stays in Toronto. And if there's a chance that he stays in Toronto, then the Clippers go after Jimmy Butler really, really hard. And that means that they would have a real chance to get Jimmy Butler. And I know that the Lakers thought that they had a real chance to get Jimmy Butler. So if the Clippers walk in and steal Jimmy Butler, then the loser in that is the Lakers. But, in terms of Tobias Harris, I do. I actually think that wasn't great for the Jazz, because I think that Elton Brand is going to make Tobias Harris a real priority, and they can offer more years and they can offer more money than anybody else.